Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of SoTellUs Time. Today is going to be a lot of fun. Today we are actually taking a special request from one of our awesome listeners, Skeeter on Sound. He had asked us to talk about owner-operator situations. We talk about a lot of things when it comes to business. A lot of times we're talking about employees because that's a big headache for people. It can also change your business and help you grow so much. And it's also a hard thing for people to take that step and get employees too. So each way comes with a lot of headaches, but we know that there's a lot of owner operators out there. And what do I mean by that? I mean that you're the man, you're the woman, you're the person who is taking care of everything. And it can be very difficult when you're starting that business and being the owner operator to compartmentalize the different positions that you have to do, because you have to go out and you have to be the operator during the day. Then you have to come home and you have to be the owner. And during this whole time, you're trying to balance growing this business, right?
Yeah,
with the
absolutely.
ultimate goal of getting more employees so that you don't have to do everything, right?
Right.
You start out doing this because you're like, I don't want to work for anybody else, and you love the freedom. But that can fade pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's not fun after so long. It's not exciting anymore.
Yeah, you realize that you're just an employee, but you're an employee to your business, right? And now there's no other employees to do the other jobs that you weren't doing before.
Exactly. And so, you know, being an owner operator, this is going to be a really good one, but we couldn't tackle it in one podcast.
No.
There's no way. There's so many parts to this. We're going to do a multi-episode podcast. Today's just going to be episode 1. We're going to call it the multi-hats, right? We're all wearing multi-hats when we're the owner operators. We're not going to, just so you know, we're not going to do this all in order. So today's part 1. Next week is we already know we have that one planned. It's not going to be part 2. Next week, we're going to be talking about what, Troy?
We're going to be talking about one of the marketing secrets that you need to be changing in your marketing right now.
Yeah. There's a shift happening and you need to know about it. And that's our job to bring you that shift. So next week, we're going to be talking about that. And that's going to apply to all businesses. So you know what? Even if you have 100 employees and you're listening to this going, well, I guess owner operator's not, you know what? It's fun to listen to these episodes and remember what it was like for us. When Troy and I were planning this episode, we were like, man, do you remember when? And it was just like Ron. And then it was me and Ron doing this. And then Troy and Ron and I. And we each all had our own little businesses. And we've all been there. We've all been the owner operators. And so it's fun to kind of reminisce and remember where you've come from. So stick in.
Yeah, and even if you have 100 employees, there are tips in here that you can actually apply to your business as well.
Yes.
Right? To help you manage your time better and do certain things.
Exactly. So let's jump right in. Today, first thing I want to talk about with you is mindset, because that will make or break your business when it comes to being an owner operator. If you don't have the right mindset for this, you are going to fail. You are going to get discouraged and you're not going to have the energy for it, right? So what you have to do as an owner operator during the day, like we said, you're going to go out and you're going to be fulfilling the jobs, whether that's an AC service or a DJ or, a residential cleaner, home inspector. Yeah, all of these
attorney,
different businesses. Attorneys,
accountant.
And pretty much everything, right?
Yeah, right? You're by yourself, right?
Normally, we start out by ourselves, in a lot of businesses. And so it doesn't matter what you are, but you're going to go out and that during the day, you're going to be having to do your work. That's when your jobs are going to be there. So you got to go out during the day and at night you come home and you're exhausted. I mean, I remember, and for a lot of us, you don't even go home. You don't even go home because there's too much to do, but you're out there and you're working. In fact, I know one AC guy that he is the owner operator and he has a great business, but he will show up and do someone's job at 1 a.m. Because he's so booked up. He's still out there servicing AC units at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And he just tells people like, hey, I'm so booked up, I won't be able to make it till 2 a.m. And a lot of times people are desperate because they need their AC or whatever it is or heat, and they will have him come and do it. So it can be very exhausting when you get done with being out working all day to then come home or go back to the office and try to figure out now, how am I going to shift from working in the business to working on the business. I got to take my worker's hat off and I got to put my boss hat on, right? And so I do this. This is my worker's hat, right? It's like a ball cap. My boss hat is like my
10-gallon cowboy hat?
Yeah, my cowboy hat. I was almost going to say my sombrero, my sombrero. But it's my big boy hat, right? And so you got to put that on and you got to get work done on the business. And your mindset is going to have a big overbearance on this if it's going to be successful or not. And so one thing that you have to do is you just need to shift that, and all these things, like when you're exhausted and you've got to now come home and work on the business, and maybe that's bills, maybe that's marketing, maybe that's, whatever that is, you're just exhausted and you're just like, man, I don't want to do that. But if you could change that by changing your mindset into something that's fun, that you enjoy. And I'll give you an example. We had a carpet cleaner out of Orange County, California, and he was phenomenal at this. I mean, He built a great business. But what it was is he would go out and he'd clean carpets all day long. Then he would come back to the office and he did a program that we had called the Post Place.
Yep.
And it was an article service. He would write these articles and our system would shoot it out there and get it out to everybody and all over the internet. And it would rank in the search engines and go out to the social media sites, and it would generate a lot of business. And so as his business grew, we said to him, we're like, man, you're writing a lot of articles. Like, how are you staying motivated with this and everything? He goes, listen,
320 articles a month.
320 articles a month. That's insane. 320 articles a month this guy's writing. And we're just like, we're blown away. I says, how could you do this? And he goes, well, it's just about how I think about it. He goes, basically, Trevor, you guys have given me the platform to print money. He's like, so I look at it as every article that I write, I just printed more money. I printed more money. He goes, so it's like I have a print machine in my basement. And when I get home from work, I got to go work all day. But then when I come home, I get to print money. He's like, so I get excited. I go down there and he goes, I write. He's like, and then my wife is like, are you going to come to bed? And he's like, no, I'm printing money. And he's all excited about it. And so he just took that task. I mean, how many? 325?
320 articles a month.
I would never do that. My brain couldn't, it would explode. I couldn't do it. But he was printing 320, or he was writing 320 articles, and he looked at his printing money. So by shifting his mind and taking a task that most of us would say, there's no way I can do that, and making it into something fun for him, he was able to bust out more work than he ever thought he could do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because how many did he start with, though? He didn't start with 320.
No. So he started with like one website that he was posting for in one city, and I remember he was
40 articles or something.
Yeah, 40 articles a month, and he was making like 25. His company was only making like $2,500 a month. Like he was just starting out, right? So he's hardly making any money in California. And then as he grew, because he kept doing this, he grew, and he like had websites in multiple cities, and then it was crazy. Like you said, the funny thing is when I talked to him, he blew my mind because he asked me, he said, Troy, if I gave you a machine that printed $20 bills, he goes, how much time every night would you spend running that machine?
Exactly.
I said, fetch, I would be all night long. I'd be printing money all night long. And he's like, that's exactly what it is. Because I was actually I thought I was going to help him out. And I said, hey, we've got writers. We can write these articles for you. And he's like, no way. He's like, dude, you're not taking my printing machine, right? And so the crazy thing is like Trevor talked about the success. Within like 18 months, his competitors came in and bought his whole company.
Yeah.
Because he was crushing them.
So he went from like brand new $2,500 a month to in 18 months being bought out by his competitor and retiring.
Yeah.
Being done with that business. So
because he worked at night.
Yep.
After cleaning carpets all day.
Yeah, but he still cleaned carpets all day long, guys. I mean, think about that. And I don't know if you have ever cleaned carpets or not. I mean, a lot of our listeners are carpet cleaners. But if you have no idea what carpet cleaning is, it is hard freaking work.
Yes.
In fact, actually, after having back surgery, I couldn't even do it now. Yeah. I couldn't go be a carpet cleaner. I did it for a little while when I was a teenager, and it was funny. It was a friend of mine, but we had, and we would just go around the neighborhood, knock on doors and be like, we'll clean your carpets. We wanted to make some money. And so we had this little pump sprayer, and we'd come in and spray. And then we had that circular one, and you'd sit there and you'd be it was like trying to ride a bull. It was trying to like keep this thing. And man, I couldn't even do it now. I couldn't do it. it. So
Yeah.
carpet cleaning is hard. He's doing that all day long, and then he's going home and he's writing freaking 320 articles a month. Mindset. That's how amazing mindset and how important it is, right? All right, Troy. So let's move on from mindset to the next topic, which is
time management. This is really important.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the biggest problems that owner operators have is managing their time.
Yeah.
They get a bunch of jobs and they're, again, working all day long at the jobs, and then the rest of the stuff that's really important in their business falls apart, right? So, yeah, it's great to do a bunch of jobs, but if you're not sending out the bills and getting paid for those jobs, right, the invoices, then are you really making any money? Right? Or if you're not marketing, are you really making any money?
Right.
So you need to manage your time so that you can focus on what's most important during the day, and in the evening, like we talked about. Because you can only focus on so much in a day. So you got to free up that time to focus on the most important things. Which means you've got to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And I remember falling into this trap when I first was in the workforce. I used to think like, well, I'm going to work harder than everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Which meant that I'm going to be there at the office longer than everybody else.
Yep.
So it's not that I was working smarter. I just would spend more time there. Did that make me more money? No, that didn't make me more money. But I felt like, I'm working so hard because I just put in a 12-hour day when I probably could have put in an 8-hour day. Working smarter and had 4 extra hours to do something more important, right?
Absolutely.
So knowing how to work smarter versus harder. And then, so here's a couple of ways to do that. One is to look at what are the low skill tasks in your business, right? So the low skill tasks, and see if there's a way that you can outsource those so that you can focus on the high skill tasks that make you more money.
Yeah, and let me give you an example of that, because when I was over in Georgia doing some consulting, I flew over there and I was consulting with about 10 different businesses, and one of them was an owner operator, and he had a problem that he had control issues, right? And so there was a whole slew of things we had to go through with him. We won't go down that road, but one of the ideas that we came up with for him was getting a couple of these guys that are like 16 to come in and work part-time after school to take care of some of these smaller tasks. Because people go, well, how am I going to do that? Am I supposed to hire an Indian out of India? I don't know how to do that, or that's scary, or, what if they steal my information, or I don't know, whatever.
I can't afford a full-time person.
I can't afford a full-time person here, and I don't know how to get somebody out of India to work part-time for me, and are they going to do a good job? And no. So he got a couple kids to come work for him after school for a few hours, paying them, $10 an hour. And they loved it. And he was able to then focus more of his time on the stuff that was important while they took care of the small stuff.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. Because he should be making $50, $100, $200 an hour, right? So every time he's doing one of those tasks that he could pay someone $10 an hour to do, that's what he's worth at that point, is $10 an hour, right? So there's certain things you can do. With owner operators, one of the first things that you can do is find a phone service that will answer the phones.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing because, you want to, and I'm not saying the phones aren't important, because the phones are so
very important. In fact, if you're going to do phone service, the number one thing we always recommend is record the calls.
Yes.
And listen to them.
Exactly. But and that's the thing, the reason why the phones are so important is that, because again, that's your first line of, defense or contact with potential customers. So you got to make sure that phone is answered every single time. But if you're cleaning carpet, trying to answer your phone, that's not very professional, which means you're probably not going to get the job. Or if you miss the call because you're cleaning the carpet, right?
Yeah.
Then you're probably not going to get the job. They're going to call the next company.
Correct.
So having a really good phone service, is a way to make sure that every single phone call is answered, so that you have the best shot at getting those jobs. So that's one way to do it. That's one of those things that you can get off your plate. But again, you have to choose the right one, and you have to record all of the calls so you can make sure they're doing a good job. Another thing, Trevor actually mentioned it a little bit, is like a virtual assistant, or having, so that could be someone, it doesn't have to be virtual. It could be someone that's coming in part-time and taking care of just a couple little things for you every single day that frees up 1 hour of your time.
Yeah. And when we say virtual, by the way, also, that doesn't mean that it has to be someone out of the country.
Right.
So there's this, I learned about this a long time ago with one of our partners, is the mommy network, they called it.
Yes.
The mommy network. So there's all these moms that are at home with their kids and they can't work full time, but they would like to bring some income into their household.
Yep.
And so you can actually tap into, in your community, into your area, is there a mom or even a dad who stays home but would just like to bring extra income into their house. And so they can work part-time. They can only work certain hours, maybe 3-4 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's a perfect person to hire and have doing great work for you.
Yeah, exactly. And what could they do? They do those smaller tasks for you. Let's say, you're falling behind on getting proposals out.
Yeah.
Teach somebody how to do that. They can just monitor it throughout the day, spend an hour or two a day getting your proposals out when people come in and are looking for a proposal. And now you're not having to stop whatever you're doing to get that done. There's so many ways to do it, but find that assistant, even that part-time assistant, and figure out what tasks you can give to them.
Yeah.
The other big one is hire a marketing company, right? A lot of owners are like, I don't know how to market my business. And B, I don't have time to market my business.
Yeah.
Okay, well then get somebody who can do that.
Unfortunately, C, they always say is, and I don't have money to hire someone to do that.
That's very true. So that is the third one, and that can make it difficult. But if you do not have time to market your business, or you don't have the knowledge to do it, then your only other option is C.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you do that? Well, you free up your time with the menial tasks so that you can do more jobs to make more money so that you can invest in the marketing side of it.
Yeah,
right?
Let me put it this way. When you say I can't afford it, I switch that and change it to you can't afford not to.
Right.
Because you will go out of business.
Exactly.
I do have one idea. I have one quick idea that we actually utilized back in the day when we were just a little website company, 20 years ago doing these template sites. And one thing that we did is we were so busy building sites and Ron was out selling and running like 100 miles an hour and everything. We wanted to get to more people. So we hired someone to come in and just make phone calls to set up appointments for us. So their whole job was based on, they had a minimum pay. We had a minimum pay for them. And then we bonused them every time someone would set up an appointment and followed through with the appointment. And so they would come in and what was great is now, instead of Ron trying to be out knocking doors and bring in more business, he was just showing up to appointments. So I think that is something that you can have someone come in part-time, pay them a minimum wage type situation with a little bonus structure, and anyone can do that. Because you could have them come in for 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, and have them setting up appointments for you.
Exactly.
And then now you're just going in and closing the deal.
Exactly. That's a great suggestion. Yeah. And then the final one I have is use some sort of software to automate your scheduling and your billing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times that's what gets left to at night, where it's like, okay, now I just got off the truck. I'm going in and it's like, I'm going to eat dinner and then I got to, get my scheduling done and I got to make sure all my, the billing's done and everything. So I'm collecting my money and then that gets pushed to the side because you're too tired. Yeah. So figure out a way to automate that so that, when you get a job done, boom, they're billed right then and you're paid. Or with your scheduling, use a software that will actually, look at your schedule, especially if you're out going to people's houses and actually schedule people based on location so that you can maximize your time between appointments and schedule people together. I think that's so important. And there's different softwares out there that can help you use
so many now. Apps. There's apps for your iPad or for your tablet. I mean, if you don't have some sort of automated system with your scheduling right now and billing, you're in the Stone Age. And there's no reason for it. That's just blatant ridiculousness.
Yeah, and with scheduling too, we're not just talking about like doing your schedule, but like letting people schedule with you without you having to pick up the phone and go, okay, hold on, let me pull up my calendar and and write it down on your calendar. Like they should be able to automatically schedule with you and everything without you even interacting with them.
That's right. All right, Troy, we are at 18 minutes. We just can't, we've got too much good knowledge for you guys. Let's wrap it up with some homework for the day.
Okay, so the homework for the day is I want you to pick one way to manage your time better and then implement it in the next week. So take one of these things we talked about or something else that might have popped in your head and pick it and then start implementing it next week so that you have more free time to work on your business.
Yep, perfect. And then my final thought for the day is back to mindset, guys. This week, take something you hate doing, but helps generate you money and shift your mind. Look at it like what we talked about on our last episode, last week's podcast, loving the no.
Yes.
Learn that every no is worth money. Learn that this task is worth money. And even though you've been out working all day and you're exhausted and all you want to do is just go plop into bed and watch TV or something and relax, you're going to now go make more money. So take one task that you hate doing or you're just like, but you know what makes you money, and shift your mindset and go, this is worth X amount of dollars every time I do it. Now I'm printing money. I'm over there printing money doing this every night.
And one thing I was going to add to that is if you hate the thing so much, but you know it's going to work for you, figure out a reward system.
Yeah.
Like, all right, fine.
Reward yourself.
If I do this 5 times, then I get this.
Yeah.
Figure out a reward and do it so that you will be excited to get it done.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for spending more time with us at SoTellUs Time. If you love us, like, share, subscribe. Make sure you're getting every new episode. Make sure you're sharing those episodes. We will see you guys on the next SoTellUs Time.